In today's passage in Joshua, we read of how each tribe put down a rock from the Jordan as a marker to mark a new stage, a transition from the old life into the new. And I'd like us to be thinking about that today as we move into a new phase of the life of our church. We've come through a period of isolation, a period of desolation for some, and we're going to be opening the church building for prayer next week. Now, we've had lots of time to pray, but many people perhaps in our community may well feel as though they want to put down a marker. Markers are symbolic and they're important. The stones that were left by Joshua, who said were here to this day, whenever it was written, and there are people that archaeologically look for those stones today. Of course, symbolic markers don't have to be rocks, they can be other things, such as in Desert Island Discs, where the markers are pieces of music. And so we're going to listen to David Nott, who is a surgeon working in Palestine, and what happened to him as he operated on a little girl. The markers he chose to use are music.
I was in Gaza in 2014 during the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and I was working in one of the big hospitals in Gaza City. There was this little girl that had come in who was about 7, who'd had her evisceration, it's called, where the bowels are hanging out of the abdominal wall. She'd had severe fragmentation injuries. Her fragment had gone into her bladder, her spleen, her stomach, and so on. I prepared her with iodine and so on. Somebody came up to me and said, "David, we need to go now. We need to leave the hospital because it's going to be blown up in 5 minutes." And I looked at her, and at the time, I had no family, I had no siblings, I had nobody. And I was thinking, well, okay, I'm on my own here, and, am I going to leave this little girl on her own to die in the hospital? And I made a conscious decision that I wasn't going to. So I stayed there with her and thought, well...
So you must tell me what happened. What happened to the little girl?
All the staff in the operating theatre left. I was there with the anaesthetist, and I looked at the anaesthetist and I said to him, "Do you want to go?" He said, "No, I'll stay with you." And so the two of us just stayed there. We operated, waiting for the bomb to explode onto the hospital. Nothing happened. And 3 or 4 days later, I've got this picture of me and the little girl.
Right, we're going to take a break. We're going to have some music. David Nott, tell me about this. This is your 5th one of the morning.
So I've done this job for many years, and I really love it. And I also love the Rolling Stones, and I've been to see them 5 times, from the Los Angeles Rose Bowl to Manchester City Football Club. And one of the records which I really, really love, it's Give Me Shelter, and I take it.
And so we listened to a story that can hardly fail to touch us. There was a man who worked in an entirely different culture, didn't have to do it, but cared for the little one that he was operating on, took tremendous risks, and fortunately, God brought him through. So for us, I wonder what's ahead. I wonder what we're hoping for as we start this new phase of our life together.